for your kind introduction and a wonderful talk by ma'am about the insulin co-formulations and good evening to my dear friends and professional colleagues. This is Dr. Sevpuri Krishnamohan, endocrinologist, Sevpuri Diabetes Center and Endocrine Center, Kurnool. And today we are going to talk about insulins. Today's topic being the glycemic goal achievement, choosing an insulin for total control. Total control means the fasting plasma glucose and the postprandial glucose and the HbA1c. This is the glycemic triad is called the total control. So now all over the world we are celebrating the centenary celebrations of the insulin discovery, which was done in 1921 in the University of Toronto by Dr. Grant Frederick Banting and Charles H. Best and MacLeod, J.J.R. MacLeod and James Polyp, who have received the Nobel Prize for this wonderful discovery. And from then onwards, the insulin is being included in the top 10 drugs of the every year without even a single break actually. So with this introduction, so with the centenary celebrations and all, I just come to my topic, the glycemic goal achievement. And so this is my financial disclosure. And today's agenda is being divided into the three parts: the total control of type 2 diabetes mellitus, the role of insulin co-formulation, and the second part is the 2-in-1 solution, the convenience of the insulin co-formulation, and third is my experience, a case of type 2 diabetes mellitus uncontrolled on multiple oral anti-diabetic drugs. So coming to the first part. Naresh, can you just remove this totally? No, you need. I don't need that totally. No, it's covering the slides. No, how can I see the slides? It's not visible. No, even that also becomes a problem.
సార్ ఇది ఆఫ్ చేద్దాం సార్ డిస్టర్బ్ అయిపోయింది.
So this is okay, forget about it. Yeah, this is about the initiation of the insulin, that is the comparison between the once daily insulin degludec aspart versus once daily insulin glargine U100, and the debatable issue is which is the insulin you have to choose when the patients are on the multiple OADs when the blood sugars are totally uncontrolled. And coming to this, this insulin naive patients with type 2 DM included in this study, the subjects were 296, and out of them the two arms, the upper arm was with 147 subjects who were put on the insulin degludec aspart once daily along with the existing OADs, and the second arm is the 149 patients who were put on this particular insulin glargine U100 once daily plus the OADs. And this the diagram shows us the once daily insulin degludec aspart versus once daily insulin glargine U100, And if you summarize the results, you can clearly see that the blue line is the insulin degludec and aspart, and the gray one is the insulin glargine U100. So from starting the baseline of A1C of 8.5, insulin glargine was able to come down to 7.4, whereas from the baseline of 8.4, the insulin degludec and aspart was able to bring down the HbA1c to the target of 7%. So that clearly shows the 1.4% reduction in the HbA1c reduction, which is superior when compared with this particular the OD insulin glargine U100. And likewise on the right hand side, if you see this table, the fasting is more or less very much similar when compared to this the two molecules, either the insulin degludec aspart or the insulin glargine alone once daily, have the similar results when it is equated with the fasting plasma glucose, and the similar fasting plasma glucose control with 70% of this particular basal component, that is the insulin degludec, when compared to the insulin glargine. And this slide shows the once daily insulin degludec aspart versus the once daily insulin glargine U100, and you summarize the results. On the left hand side you can see a significantly better postprandial glucose control after a major meal, that is 57 milligram per deciliter, and on the right hand side if you see the risk of hypoglycemia is very much reduced by 27% with the insulin degludec and aspart when compared to the insulin glargine U100 given both in the OD dosage. And in patients uncontrolled on OADs, the insulin initiation must offer better efficacy without compromising on the safety. And you can see this left hand side, you can see the bar diagram. The blue one is the insulin degludec aspart, and the gray one is the insulin glargine group. And the 43% of this particular patients who are on iodec asp achieved a reasonable HbA1c of less than 7% without hypoglycemias, whereas when compared with this particular the comparator, the insulin glargine once daily, the U100, was able to bring down only the 25% of the patients to the target of 7%. So it is the p-value is very statistically significant, and with the insulin degludec aspart, 72% more patients achieve their targets and without experiencing the hypoglycemia than the once daily insulin glargine. And coming to the second part of our agenda, the 2-in-1 solution, the convenience of insulin co-formulation. The once daily insulin degludec aspart versus the basal plus regime, and the study was done for 26 weeks, and it very clearly showed the 1.1% the similar the reductions in the glycosylated hemoglobin HbA1c, and decrease by 12%, and that was very significantly lesser dose requirement, and significantly lower risk of nocturnal hypos by 45%, and the power of a single injection, the solution versus the 2-in-1 solution. And the practical recommendation, administer once daily insulin degludec aspart with the largest meal of the day. That's what we generally do. Which is the largest meal? You just have to take a brief history from the patient, whether it is the breakfast or the lunch or the dinner, and preferably we would like to administer this once daily, the insulin degludec and aspart, only with the largest meal, let it be breakfast or lunch or even the dinner. So the the once daily insulin degludec aspart, and we generally initiate with the 10 units of insulin degludec aspart once daily with the most carbohydrate heavy meal of the day, that is the largest meal, because most of the Indians have the habit of taking the large quantities of carbohydrates in their diet when compared to the proteins and fats. So this is the regarding initiation of iodine in the ODE dosage. And the practical recommendations are, if the fasting plasma glucose target is not yet controlled, you have to add 2 units of insulin degludec and aspart. And if the fasting plasma glucose is at target, you don't need to do any sort of gimmicks, you just maintain the dose. And the fasting plasma glucose is below the target, you have to reduce by 2 units. And identify your patient's fasting plasma glucose target and adjust the insulin degludec aspart dose every week by 2 unit increment or decrements until the reasonable fasting plasma glucose target is met. And now we see this the wonderful device which is called the FlexTouch device of insulin degludec and aspart, which is available in the market with the brand name of Rhizodec. You can very clearly see the very large this numbers, the magnified numbers, and end of dose confirmation for the patient confidence. And you can see this the blue one actually, the only pre-filled insulin pen with no push button extension, and you find easy touch button with low injection force, which is very convenient for the pediatric group and the geriatric group, where they don't need to use much of their motor force. And you can clearly see the large easy to read scale, and this has got the dial back system. Even you over dial also, suppose the patient is taking 10 units or 20 units, you over dial by 25 or 30 units without even wasting a single drop. You just can have this facility to dial back. These are all the greatest advantages of the FlexTouch. That is, you don't need to push hard, just touch it, it goes inside, and you just wait for 30 seconds so that all the solution, the injection goes inside the subcutaneous tissue, then take out it and you reuse it again. And coming to the last part of our agenda, my experience, a case of type 2 diabetes mellitus uncontrolled on multiple OADs. And this is a case of type 2 diabetes uncontrolled on multiple OADs. So you can imagine the age, gender, occupation. I don't need to detail you. The duration of diabetes and the level of activity and the weight. Most of the times the patients are the overweight or obese, and most of the times the HbA1c on multiple OADs will be somewhere around some 9% or 9.5% or 10%, and a high fasting plasma glucose and a high postprandial blood glucose, and the blood pressure may be high, and the creatinine, it depends on the patient, and by calculating the estimated glomerular filtration rate, you can classify this particular the diabetic kidney disease, whether he fits into the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, A, B, 4 or 5, the ESRD or the ESKD, and other relevant parameters. And this is a case of, again, the medical history, including the comorbidities and the drug history and the relevant history and the other patient concerns, and the medications. The patient must be on three OADs. Probably the first thing will be the metformin, either 500 mg BID or 1000 mg BID or the second one will be inevitably a sulfonylurea, maybe the glycoside, or maybe the glimepiride, and third one will be usually either the alpha glucosidase inhibitor or the thiazolidine group, that is the pioglitazone, or sometimes you may go for a DPP4 inhibitor. So, being on the 3 oral drugs, the patient is still not at to the target. So, the key points discussed during the patient counseling for insulin initiation. So, we need to just discuss this particular aspect with the patient, that in spite of the maximal doses of the 3 OADs, the patient is still not at to the target, like high fasting plasma glucose and high postprandial plasma glucose and high HbA1c, indicates that there is something going wrong with the insulin secretion of the body by the islet cells of the beta cells in the pancreas. Probably a condition called the pancreatic bankruptcy, wherein we need to initiate the appropriate insulin to that particular patient at that particular point, along with the existing OADs. So, you have to choose the major meal. How you choose the major meal? You ask the patient what would be the major meal, and if the breakfast is the major meal, you start this insulin degludec aspart 10 units with the major meal, that is breakfast. If the lunch is the major meal, the vice versa, you start the insulin degludec and aspart with the lunch. And if the dinner is the largest meal, where the carbohydrate, see, largest meal means where the patient takes the largest quantities of carbohydrates, that is defined as the largest meal of that particular day. So, based on that, so you have to start this once daily insulin degludec and aspart for that particular patient, along with the existing OADs, and device chosen and why, for the sake of convenience, we generally initiate this Rhizodec, the FlexStretch actually, and the rationale for the initial insulin degludec aspart dose is that we have seen in the earlier slides that alone insulin degludec, the alone insulin glargine U100 is not able to take care of the postprandial glucose and the proper HbA1c. It is able to control only the fasting plasma glucose. So the rationale behind choosing this particular insulin degludec and aspart is that the insulin aspart part will take care of the prandial spike, the major meal, as well as this particular insulin degludec will take care of the basal component of this. So the both basal bolus are properly addressed with this insulin degludec aspart, so which that mimics the normal the physiology of this the pancreatic secretion pattern in a normal human being without having the diabetes. So these are all the figures. You can imagine the figures. See, we start with the insulin degludec dose with the 10 units, and at the time of initiation, and after 1 month, and after 2 months, and after 3 months, initially it will be high fasting at the pre-breakfast, or the post-breakfast, or the pre-lunch, or the post-lunch, or the pre-dinner, or the post-dinner. These are all the the monitoring the 7-point formula of self-glucose of the monitoring of the blood sugar glucose levels, and the HbA1c and the body weight. And initially it will be very high, and after a month we need to increase the dose, titrate the dose of this particular 10 units. We need to increase it to probably 16 units or the 20 units, and the blood glucose levels will start falling down. And after the second month, if it is not controlled with the OD dose of this particular insulin degludec aspart, we switch over to this BD dosage of the insulin degludec aspart, like maybe 20 in the morning or 10 in the night. And when it comes to the third month, so we the optimize this particular dose of this thing. That is the classical initiation of insulin and intensification of insulin and optimization of insulin. That is what we routinely do. And by the end of third month, the fasting plasma glucose will be normal to the target, that is less than 130 milligram per deciliter and above 80 milligram milligram per deciliter, and we reasonably can attain a postprandial glucose of less than 180 milligram per deciliter and a reasonable HbA1c that is around or less than 7%. And the peculiarity and the speciality and the greatest feature of this particular the insulin degludec aspect, whether you start it with the OD doses or change it to BD doses, it doesn't produce weight gain. First of all, it is weight neutral. And the second major point is all the glycemic parameters, the glycemic triad or the glycemic pentad or the glycemic hexad are met very properly, and the A1C becomes very much normal and the body weight becomes very much neutral, and the patient will be happy. The quality of life improves with this addition of the insulin degludec aspect. And the learnings, see, generally we start any case of uncontrolled type 2 diabetes and multiple OADs with reasonably with a basal insulin as per the recommendations. But as the basic funda behind the starting the basal insulin as per the recommendations of even the American Diabetes Association or the American College of Endocrinology or the American Association of the Clinical Endocrinologists, the basic funda is the basal insulin is going to fix the fasting first. That is going to control the fasting blood sugars. So when fasting blood sugars are controlled, that is called fix the fasting first, and then automatically the postprandial also will be taken care by this the OADs. That is the basic funda. But we have got a better insulin co-formulation in the form of insulin degludec and aspart, that will take care of the prandial part as well as the basal part, that mimics the normal human the insulin secretion in the non-diabetic patient. So we would like to start, I would like to start with all my experience in the field of endocrinology and diabetology for the last 3 decades. I would like to start the patient who is uncontrolled on 3 OADs with the once daily dose of this particular insulin degludec and aspart for a better control, and for a better fasting plasma control, and a better postprandial glucose control, and a better the A1C control without any changes in the weight, and with much less the nocturnal hypoglycemias. And these are all the take home messages and the learning points. And a word of caution in the COVID pandemic, I would like to and the importance of glycemic control under the current situations, and the well managed diabetes matters, particularly during this particular COVID-19 pandemic what we are facing now. We just now finished, I think, the second wave, and we don't know whether really the third wave comes or not. Let us pray to God that we don't face this particular third wave actually. And all the international bodies, along with our national body, the RSSJ also have said, like the AAs, that's what I said, the American Association of the Clinical Endocrinologists said, diabetes and high blood glucose levels are associated with increased complications and the respiratory failure and mortality in the hospitalized patients with COVID-19. When it comes to the American Diabetes Association, your risk of getting very sick from COVID-19 is likely to be lower if your diabetes is well managed, and the International Diabetes Federation says the people with pre-existing medical conditions such as diabetes, heart disease and asthma appear to be more vulnerable to becoming severely with COVID-19 virus. And our RSSDI, the national body, that is the Research Society for the Study of Diabetes, says when people with diabetes do not manage their diabetes well and experience fluctuating blood sugars, that is the hypos and the hyper, that is the swings, they are generally at risk of a number of diabetes related complications, so which makes this particular the COVID-19 increase in the morbidity as well as the mortality rate in this present pandemic. So to avoid all these complications in this COVID-19 pandemic, so you have to maintain a tight control, tight glycemic control, that is in a reasonably good fasting plasma glucose and a reasonably good postprandial glucose and a reasonably good HbA1c. If you can maintain all these three things, and along with that you have to maintain the ABC. A stands for A1C, B stands for blood pressure, C stands for cholesterol. If you can maintain this particular the triad ABC and the glycemic triad and the glycemic pentad and the glycemic hexad, you can reduce the morbidity as well as the mortality in our the diabetic population in this current COVID pandemic situation. And coming to the summary, the take home message, the evidence supports use of once daily insulin degludec aspart for insulin initiation, as it offers a superior glycemic control with safety as compared to OD basal insulin, and the insulin degludec aspart offers the convenience of single device as a co-formulation, providing similar control with improved safety as compared to the basal bolus regime. And in routine clinical care, IDEC ASP is very simple, safe and effective solution for initiating insulin therapy in people with type 2 diabetes mellitus. And I conclude by saying that I've got a vast experience with this particular the insulin degludec and aspart, and thousands of my patients are on this particular the insulin co-formulation who are doing extraordinarily good, who were not controlled on 3 OADs or 4 OADs or 5 OADs, on other forms of insulin, maybe the basal insulin, maybe the biphasic premix insulin, maybe the basal bolus, which who are not controlled, have been much controlled with this particular insulin co-formulation, that is the insulin degludec and insulin aspart with the OADs. Always I remind you, unless otherwise there is an absolute contraindication for this OADs, like when the patient is admitted with COVID pandemic into the ICU, you just have to withdraw all the drugs and just put the patient on this particular insulin. That is, and barring that particular condition where the patient is in the ICU setup, either on the oxygen therapy or on the mechanical ventilation, whatever it may be. So, barring those conditions, insulin can be used along with the existing OADs. And with that, I conclude. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Any questions? Please feel free to type in the chat box. Hamid, are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please.
sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation, sir. First of all,
Thank you.
thank you very much, sir. There are multiple questions are there in the chat box, sir. And I'm requesting again audience to please raise queries and ask your any question related to diabetes and related to COVID. Doctor is ready to give his valuable suggestions here. Sir, can I go ahead with question answer, sir?
Yeah, please. I'm waiting for that. Let us finish it off.
Yes, sir. First question, sir. Is IDEC asked to be used once daily or twice daily? No, again, no same question, sir.
So whether insulin degludec and aspart to be used once daily or twice daily? So that's a good question actually. So to start with, when the patient is uncontrolled on multiple OADs, that is basically 3 OADs, that is the dictum. When the fasting is uncontrolled and the postprandial is uncontrolled and the HbA1c is uncontrolled, on 3 oral anti-diabetic drugs, we start with the once daily insulin degludec aspart, preferably with the largest meal of the day, that is where the patient takes the largest carbohydrate quantity of that particular day, and we initiate this particular insulin degludec aspart with 10 units. Let it be the breakfast, let it be the lunch, let it be the dinner. You just ask the patient which is the largest meal. Suppose the bankers, they take the large meal in the morning and they just go to the bank, and even the advocates, they take a large meal at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, they go to the court. So independently, the profession of the patient plays a vital role, and just by eliciting 1-2 questions, you can decide which is the major meal of that particular patient. We start with once daily dose, and if it is not controlled, we increment by 2 units, and then if it is still not controlled, you can as well switch over to the twice daily, the insulin degludec and aspart.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your nice response, sir.
Yeah.
Continuation of this question, sir.
Yeah.
Dose adjustment is required in renal and hepatic impairment patients.
Yeah. See, the dose adjustments are required only in this particular the renal impairment, not the hepatic impairment, because whenever the patient suffers from this diabetic kidney disease and the renal failure, the problem is the kidneys will not be able to eliminate the remnants of this particular insulin, and the drug gets accumulated, and that produces the sudden hypoglycemias, that is which is called the classically the unexplained hypos, which is very common in the renal failure. So in that particular case, you just have to go with the lowest dose and escalate slowly also, just by incrementing 2 units and 2 units, 2 units. See, that is that. And hepatic impairment, most of the times the insulin the dose titration is not required. You can just the patient is stabilized with this once the initiation is over and the intensification is over and the optimization is over. I don't think patient doesn't require any sort of dose the changes with insulin degludec and aspart, because it doesn't produce the hypoglycemias, and you don't need to frequently change the dose of this particular, either in the to some extent in the renal, and not with this particular hepatic impairment. And this is the drug of choice. I mind you, this is the insulin degludec and aspart. Per se, any insulin is the drug of choice in this particular the hepatic impairment or the renal impairment. Whenever the patient suffering from diabetes gets into any complication, that is the indication. Let it be neuropathy, let it be retinopathy, but in case of retinopathy, you have to take the consent of this particular the ophthalmologist whether to start insulin or not. Any complication like the patient lands up in acute myocardial infarction, we give insulin. When the patient lands up in stroke, we give only this particular insulin. When the patient has got severe peripheral sensory neuropathy, we give insulin. Even in the peripheral vascular disease or the peripheral arterial disease, we give insulin. In the case of diabetic foot ulcers, we give insulin. Nothing else other than insulin that works. The insulin is the drug of choice even in the hospitalized patients, whatever be the cause of the admission. I think that answers the question. Next
Sir,
question.
Again, one more question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Ida gas can be used in the pregnancy as well?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Insulin degludec is not recommended for the pregnant people, whereas insulin detimer is the drug of choice, and insulin glargine is the drug of choice, but not insulin degludec. The best drug of choice in pregnant woman is the NPH, that is, or insulatard is the best drug of choice. And though of late people are using the biphasic premixed insulins, but the drug of choice is always the NPH. NPH is the drug of choice for this pregnant woman with diabetes. Maybe the pre-gestational diabetes or the gestational diabetes. If at all the patient requires insulin, this is the drug of choice, and still we need some more time to get the evidence that degludec can be used in pregnant women, but as of now it is absolutely a no. Next question, please.
Sir, there is one more question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Kindly, already you have given answer, sir, this question.
No problem, no problem.
I'm asking once again, sir.
No
Kindly
problem.
explain about dose of Ida gas.
Acha, dosage of Ida gas. Okay. So when the patient is uncontrolled on this particular 3 OADs, whatever it may be, whether it is metformin once or twice a day, or the sulfonylurea starting from the glibenclamide to glipizide to glycoside to glimepiride, or the alpha glucosidase inhibitor, either the acarbose or the voglibose, or the thiazolidine the pioglitazone, or this particular DPP4 inhibitors, starting from the vildagliptin to sitagliptin to saxagliptin to alogliptin to linagliptin, whatever it may be. Even the SGLT2 inhibitors, of late this particular wonderful pleiotropic class of drugs, the SGLT2 inhibitors, either the empagliflozin or the off-patented dapagliflozin or the canagliflozin, whatever be the modality of this thing, when the patient is not controlled on this particular 3 oral agents, it's high time we have to start this insulin degludec aspect, and preferably we start with the largest meal. Once again I am telling you, largest meal you just have to elicit by asking the patient which is the largest meal, and the where this particular the patient takes the high carbohydrate content will be the largest meal of that particular day. And we generally start with 10 units of this particular insulin degludec aspect, and we ask the patient to go for SMBG, that is self monitoring of blood glucose, and based on that if the fasting is okay, you don't need to down titrate or up titrate, no increments and no decrements. And if the patient has got high fasting plasma glucose, so you add 2 units. If still not yet controlled, you add another 2 units, and like that you have to monitor the patient and titrate the dose. Preferably I do it twice a day, actually twice a week, not once a week, because it takes too long. So you can titrate this particular based on the SMBG, and you can titrate this the particular insulin degludec aspect twice a week, so that the fasting becomes normal and the postprandial becomes normal. If it doesn't become normal with once daily dosage, you always can go ahead with the twice daily dosage within the morning and the evening with the 12 hours apart, just 5 minutes prior to the breakfast and 5 minutes prior to the dinner. So you can make it like 20 units in the morning and 10 units in the night. And based on this particular SMBG is always important. I always give the take home message that all clinicians, all the physicians, all the diabetologists, all the endocrinologists, who treat this particular diabetes must be able to counsel the patients to go for the two things. One is the SMBG and the second is the ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. See, these two are very important. Self-monitoring of blood glucose and ambulatory blood pressure monitoring are the two very important things that the patient has to purchase. One glucometer, a standard glucometer like the LifeScan, Johnson and Johnson is the best one, and you have Roche. You have so many companies now coming, and you have got this this particular the Abbott people have come with the Freestyle Liver Pro also. That is the 14 days. They continuously, once you insert the sensor, it gives the reading for every 15 days. And likewise, when the patient is hospitalized, that is the best way to avoid the pricks and the continuous monitoring. And based on that, you have to either increment the dose in the morning or in the night, or decrement the dose if the patient complains of this particular low levels, or when the patient says I am getting into hypos, you can either down titrate or up titrate the dose of insulin. And there is no fixed the hard and fast rule for this particular dose of insulin, degludec and aspart. We can go until this 30-20 or this 40-30 or whatever it may be, until the patient is very comfortable without any hypos, and with a target of this particular, the fasting I said 80 to 130 milligram per deciliter is the target, and the post lunch 2 hour post lunch or the random, that is the casual blood glucose less than 180 milligram per deciliter, and a reasonably good HbA1c of around or less than 7%. You can either up titrate or down titrate until the patient reaches the target, the glycemic triad I said, the fasting and the post lunch and the HbA1c. I think it is clear, Amit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are moving to next question.
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Sir, what is the ratio of degludec and aspart in IDEGAS? Is it 70-30?
Yeah, absolutely, you are right. The ratio in this particular, either in the Novomix, this is or the insulin degludec aspart, it is 70 and 30. 70 will be the basal insulin always. That is, the insulin degludec is 70 and the prandial component insulin aspart is 30. Even in the this particular insulin, the analog insulin aspart and the non-protominated aspart is 30%, and the protominated aspart is 70%. That is called the Novomix. The brand name is Novomix. Maybe for the convenience I am telling you as a speaker, I am not supposed to take out the brand names, but the people will not understand if I just tell them the non-protominated aspart and the protominated aspart. So that is also 30% and this is 70%. Likewise, our biphasic premixed insulin is also there with the brand name of Human Mixtard. That is available in two strengths. That is the 30 with the rapid acting insulin, that is the human insulin, and the NPH will be 70%. And we have got 50-50 also, where the rapid is 50 and this particular the NPH is also 50, and the indication for that 50 is sumptuous eaters who are not controlled. The staunch and sumptuous eaters, that is the only one indication for this 50 or 50. Otherwise, all patients must be put on this particular 30-70, which is very physiological and very rational, and that will not increase the weight and that will not increase the hypoglycemias also. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, do you agree with giving sports milk as by some dietitian?
Sports milk?
Yes, sir.
No, the sports milk is nothing but I think milk with whey protein, I think. Yeah, that is the athletes are the bodybuilders. nowadays it has become the latest trend to take this whey protein when they exercise a lot. But certainly I don't advise all these commercial brands. You can take the homemade foods and homemade proteins, like you can take the animal protein or the plant based protein. I prefer plant based protein which scores over this animal based protein. Certainly plant based proteins are superior, and they can take the protein. Protein is very integral part of this particular whether in the sports or the games or the athletes or the bodybuilders, whatever it may be, protein is the main component. See, yes. Next question, please.
Sir, next question, sir.
I don't personally I don't recommend the commercial preparations. We don't know what it contains. So make your own preparations at home. You can take milk with eggs. You can take these protein powders with this along with this milk, and you can take, that's what I said, either the plant based protein or the animal based protein, depending upon the exercise, how much you exercise and how much the calories you require. That will be decided by the either the doctor or the coach who coaches this particular the athlete or the sportsman or the whatever it may be. Next question, please.
Sir, again it is about dosing of Razodex, sir. If
Again.
used twice daily of 5-day gas,
Yeah.
should the dose be the same in the morning and the evening, or
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
70%
yeah.
in the morning and the
If the patient is comfortable, as long as the patient doesn't get into nocturnal hypoglycemias, and the dose can be equal, like 20-20 is also okay. And usually we reduce the nocturnal dose. The nighttime dose of insulin we generally reduce when compared to the morning dose, only to prevent the nocturnal hypoglycemias, because it doesn't mean that the insulin deglutic aspart is producing the hypos. Maybe along with the, when the patient is on the secretagogues, the insulin, the secretagogues, the sulfonylurea secretagogues, like what I said, the glibenclamide and the glipizide and the gliclazide and the glimepiride, maybe that suddenly produces a drastic hypo. So that is the reason why we reduce the either the nighttime sulfonylurea or the nighttime the insulin deglutic aspart. And as long as the patient is not on this particular the insulin secretagogue, the sulfonylurea secretagogue, you can make it equal also, 20-20, 10-10, 15-15, 30-30, as long as the patient doesn't get into hypoglycemia. And you have to always keep it in mind, hypoglycemia unawareness, which is going rampantly, developing rampantly nowadays. You have to keep that in mind. And when the patient is not able to perceive that he is getting into hypoglycemia, that is the definition of this particular hypoglycemia unawareness, which is an autonomic nervous complication commonly seen in the elderly diabetics or the patients who are on this particular the glibenclamide group of sulfonylurea. We generally find this particular the insensitivity to this particular recognition of this particular the perception of hypoglycemia. So in that particular patients, you have to be very cautious, and you have to ask them to take the 3 a.m. sample also early in the morning, whether the patient is getting into hypos, to rule out this Dance phenomena or the Samagi phenomena, which are both the fasting hyperglycemias. The one has no hypos, and one has the hypos. That's it. So all the 7-point formula of monitoring blood glucose, that's what I said. SMBG is so important that the 7-point is nothing but the fasting and the 2-hour breakfast, pre-lunch and the 2-hour post-lunch, and the pre-dinner and the 2-hour post-dinner, and the morning 3 a.m. sample is called the gold standard 7-point formula of self-monitoring of blood glucose. Should be done in all the patients wherever it is applicable, wherever the money doesn't become the barrier actually, and the patient has to be motivated towards the SMBG as well as the ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, that is ABPM. So that is the answer for that, Hamid. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. Next question is, sir, can we add any this hypoglycemic oral agents, sir, like metformin, DPP4 and SGLT2 with Idagas?
Yeah, the greatest advantage of this insulin degludec aspart is that is compatible with all the drugs in the armamentarium for type 2 diabetes mellitus. It can be combined with metformin, it can be combined with sulfonylureas, it can be combined with alpha glucosidase inhibitors, it can be combined with even this. If there is no contraindication, only I say this particular pioglitazone. Otherwise, I don't say that. As per the recommendations, insulin should not be combined with this thiazolidine dians. That is what is available in our country. Only one molecule, pioglitazone, is available. Whereas in the US, you have got pioglitazone as well as the rosiglitazone, but with a black box warning saying that it should not be used in cases of heart failure. Second point is the rosiglitazone should not be combined with insulin. So, and apart from that, the DPP4 inhibitors or the SGLT2 inhibitors or even this particular the latest the GLP-1 receptor agonist, another injectable form of this particular anti-hyperglycemic drugs, that is either this particular exenatide, and no more we are using exenatide. Now the after the leader trial, the liraglutide has come into the limelight actually, and in the abroad they are very much comfortable with this. The trials are going with this particular the semaglutide once a week injections and this oral semaglutide, and it takes some time for us to get those molecules, and already once a week albiglutide is available, and that is proven to be the hopeless molecule, and there is a promising molecule that is the once a week dulaglutide is very promising, and that is with the Revine trial, and the latest is the terpizatide is the latest molecule that is the showing the wonderful results because that has got the dual incretin blockade, the only one that is available in the market, blocks this particular the GLP-1 as well as the GIP. So the terpizatide and all, it is compatible with all the drugs available in our country. So this particular IDEC ASP, the Rhizodec, is compatible with all the molecules in the armamentarium of this particular the type 2 diabetes mellitus. No drug to drug interactions are seen with this particular this thing. Only with a word of caution, I always tell, this is not the drug of choice for the pregnant woman with diabetes, either the pre-diabetes or the diabetes. It is not the drug of choice. But for that, you can give it to any population, from pediatrics to geriatrics. Next question, Amit.
Yes, sir. Next question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, some of doctors initiating Rhizodec type. Some of doctors are initiating Rhizodec type 1 diabetes, and they get good control.
Yeah, it's
Is it
absolutely.
okay without approval in type 1 diabetes? What is your opinion, sir?
See, it gives wonderful results in type 1 diabetes actually. Though not endorsed by the international bodies. So it gives wonderful results. There is nothing wrong in using in the patients above the age of 6 years of this thing, pediatric population, not below the age of 6. Because of its the normal insulin secreting physiology pattern, it is very much comfortable for the type 1 patients who will not get into hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is the biggest barrier in getting this tight control in type 1 diabetes patients. That is the biggest problem. That is been proven in the gold standard trial, the DCCT trial. see, there are two landmark trials in the entire field of diabetes. Everybody has to keep it in mind. The one is United Kingdom diabetes UKPDS diabetes prospective study that was done in the type 2 diabetes patients, and the DCCT which was done in type 1 diabetes patients. Everyone has to remember these two, and the hypoglycemias are the biggest barrier to tight glycemic control to prevent the complications, especially the microvascular complications in this particular type 1 segment. So in that particular case, you can switch over to this insulin, the off-label indication, the insulin degludec and aspart. That's proving to be wonderful. I am using it for my type 1 patients who are aged above 6 and all, not below 6. Even the insulin glargine is approved only above the age of 2 years, not below the age of 2 years. Certainly not, because we don't see this particular the type 1 below the age of 2 years. And if it is below the age of 1 year, it is never type 1. It is only neonatal diabetes, which will not respond to. It's a monogenic form of diabetes. It never responds to the insulin. Even you give 100 units to that 1 month old baby, you will not get the response. The only drug of choice is the sulfonylurea secretagogue. The glibenclamide is the drug of choice for that particular this thing. Or the forms, the monogenic forms of diabetes apart from the neonatal diabetes is the maturity onset of the diabetes in the young, that is called MODY, and 14 forms have been identified so far in the monogenic forms. This comes under the other specific types of diabetes, the fourth category. So the monogenic forms they are divided into two, that is, one is the neonatal diabetes, which is diagnosed before the age of 12 months. If it is diagnosed before the age of 12 months, even the patient comes to you at the age of 15, even the 20 also, you don't need to initiate insulin. Glibenclamide is the drug of choice. Likewise, when the patient has got this monogenic the diabetes, other form is, that is the MODY, the maturity onset diabetes in the young, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have identified so far the 14 varieties of MODY, and the simple the clinching point for MODY is the patient will have the history of diabetes for at least 3 generations. So that is the clinching point. If you elicit the history, you take the history, and you have the diabetes for 3 successive generations, and the patient is very young, and you don't need to label it as type 1. You can start this particular glibenclamide that proves to be like very effective in these 2 conditions. Barring these 2 conditions, you can use this even the insulin. The recommendations say that you are supposed to go for this insulin glargine along with this insulin Lispro is the drug of choice for this the more gold standard time tested and time trusted combination for type 1 diabetes with this basal bolus. But off late the off label indication, though not by this US FDA, you can use this particular molecule in patients above the age of 6 years without any difficulty.
Sir, next question, sir.
Yes,
Should
yes,
we
please.
stop OADs when we start ida gas?
Pardon? Do you stop?
Should we stop OAD
Ah.
when we start ida gas?
Acha, for this straight question, simple answer is no. You don't need to stop OAD. That's what I have been telling repeatedly. If at all you have to start insulin degludec and aspart, it should be continued along with the existing OADs. Unless otherwise, there is only one condition I said, where the patient is hospitalized for some reason, either in the ICU setting or in the non-ICU setting, where the patient is on oxygen therapy or the mechanical ventilation, all the other OADs must be withdrawn, especially the metformin, and we have to be very cautious. Where there is tissue hypoxia, when the patient lands up in tissue hypoxia, that is either the renal failure or the hepatic failure or the severe pulmonary respiratory failure or the heart failure, the patient gets into a stage of tissue hypoxia which precipitates the lactic acidosis with this particular metformin. In that case, you have to stop even metformin, sulfonylureas, everything must be stopped. Then put the patient only on this particular. If the patient is not in DKA, I am telling you again and again, if the patient is not in diabetic ketoacidosis, the best drug of choice would be like insulin degludec aspart twice daily is the simplest one. Or else, if the patient is in DKA, either you have to go for only the regular insulin or the short acting. The analogs are our simple the short acting insulins or the insulin analogs like the aspart or the lispro or the glulysin. They are the drugs of choice. And if the patient is in DKA, if it is not in DKA, you can always go for either the basal bolus regime or the conventional, depending upon the pulse of the patient. The patient is very poor, you can go with the biphasic premixed insulin or with the combination of the regular human insulin along with the NPH if the patient is non-affordable. And if the patient is affordable, where money is not a barrier, you can always go to this particular insulin degludec and aspart, which is the drug of choice, and you should welcome that particular insulin co-formulation. And I mind you once again, this co-formulation is not available with even the product of the Novo also has got the other basal insulin called the Detimer. Insulin IDET we call. Even insulin Detimer cannot be mixed with this particular the insulin aspart because of the technical issues that arise, because both are in the form of hexamers, whereas this is the only one. Even the glargine cannot be combined with this particular the insulin aspart. So these cannot be combined, these two cannot be combined, and only the co-formulation being which is available in the dihexamer. The insulin degludec is available in the dihexamer as far as it is in the cartridge or the FlexStretch, and this particular insulin aspart in the monomeric form actually. So that is the most compatible form of this particular co-formulation, which makes us this particular the comfortable initiation of insulin makes that makes very simple and easy to initiate insulin. Anybody can initiate insulin, this particular combination, without any phobia, fear, complex, nothing. They can just start with the lowest dose. I said all the time we start with the 10 units. Don't start with the 4 units or 5 units. You put it as 10 units as with the largest meal. Then if it is not done, you just go for the 2 time dosage, that is in the morning and the night, and not beyond 2 times, because this has got the longest plasma half-life so far in the market. The insulin degludec is the molecule which has got the longest plasma half-life actually. And for your information, I am giving you insulin icodec is coming from the same Novo Nordisk. People are bringing out the insulin icodec, which is a ultra long acting basal insulin which can be given once a week. That is that's a wonderful molecule. We are just waiting for the icodec. It's still in the trials. Once it comes, I think the problem of injections and our phobia will be gone. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. Next question is, should we how IDEC ASP is weight neutral? Please explain.
How IDEC ASP is weight neutral?
Yes, sir.
Acha, okay. See, the insulin degludec is such a molecule that it's a basal analog, ultra long acting insulin, that doesn't produce any sort of hypoglycemia usually will be weight neutral. Even the insulin aspart also will not cause the hypoglycemias. The only reason for this, the insulins to cause weight gain is, you take the example, the biphasic premixed human insulins. Why the patients put on weight? The patients tend to get into hypoglycemias, especially the nocturnal hypoglycemias. With that fear, they start eating the mid morning snack, the early morning snack, or the evening snack, or the late night snack. So whenever the intake of food is increased, there will be naturally the increase in the weight. So this naturally insulin degludec and aspart doesn't produce this hypoglycemias, and especially the nocturnal hypoglycemias. So patient will have the moderate eating, which prevents the patients from getting into this condition called weight gain. This is the basic funda behind this particular the insulin degludec aspart. That is why it is weight neutral and with less incidence of hypoglycemias, especially the nocturnal hypoglycemias and the serious hypoglycemias. So it is devoid of all these side effects, which makes this particular insulin degludec aspart a special molecule co-formulation in my experience. Because I have been using insulin for the last 3 decades and I have never found that such a beautiful insulin, the insulin degludec and the combination of aspart, that is 70% is insulin degludec and 30% is insulin aspart. Both are analogs. So this is the best combination I have ever seen so far in my 3 decades of experience. And if the patient feels that it is little bit priced high, that is each FlexEdge is somewhere around some 1320 rupees, you can as well go for you can give him the NovoPen 4. You can put the patient on the cartridges or the pen fills. I think it is some 300 rupees less. I think it's 1020 rupees, exactly like the 300 rupees the patient will be saving. In case the patient is using 5 pens, he'll be minimizing 1500 a month. That's what. So that is a simple technique. If the patient feels that it is not affordable, you can better go for an NovoPen 4 along with the pen fill or the cartridge of this particular. Everything that comes from Novo Nordisk, any pen fill will fit into this NovoPen 4, starting from Actrapid to Insulat to Human Mixtard, and even this particular the Novomix or even the Rhizodec. Anything will fit into this particular cartridge, including this insulin degludec also with the brand name of Tresiba, the basal insulin Tresiba. Next question, Amit. Am I audible, please? Am I audible? Am I audible, Amit?
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Yeah, please continue.
Hello.
Yeah, Amit, I am there. Next question is?
Oligobose is better or acrobose is better, sir?
Acha, which is better, the acarbose or the voglibose? See, the honest answer is the mother molecule of alpha glucosidase inhibitors is this particular acarbose, that is from the basket of this Bayer, that is with the brand name of Glucobay actually. The 25 milligram or the 50 milligram, and this has got when compared to the latest voglibose, this has got lot of gastrointestinal upsets. That is the incidence of nausea, the vomiting, and either the diarrhea or the constipation, the abdominal bloating is more with acarbose. So nowadays, I've totally stopped writing. See, I started this molecule, if I am right, when I was practicing in 1995 or 1996, this particular acarbose was launched in our country by Bayer, the multinational company, and that time it was a wonderful drug because the postprandial excursions, we were not able to tackle that particular the normal fasting with an abnormal postprandial excursion. So on that particular time, 95 or 96, I don't remember, I have prescribed this particular molecule definitely for at least a stretch for one complete decade. And later on, there was a molecule called Meglitol that is no more in the market. That was comfortable molecule. And after that, the Voglibose came into vogue with the two strengths, that is 0.2 milligram and 0.3 milligram. Different companies have different prices. You have the most economical prices from the biggest MNC, the Emerck, that is the Starvogue is the brand name. 0.3 mg of Starvogue from Emerck, the brand of Voglibose, costs only 3 rupees to the patient. Or Max by Max, I think, if I don't remember, 4 rupees. So the best brand available is from the Emerck, and even the Indian company Systopic also offers at a very affordable price. I think these are the two brands I regularly write. I don't write the Spencer brands which are 13 rupees, 14 rupees, 15 rupees. I don't want to name that companies. So they are selling at a very high price, but the quality, the Voglibose is available at 3 rupees to 4 rupees only, 0.3 milligram. So the Voglibose definitely scores over acarbose with regards to its the less risk of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or constipation, or the abdominal bloating, and the GI, the gastrointestinal complications are very less when compared to this particular acarbose. So I would like to prefer Voglibose to acarbose very honestly. And for your information, this group of alpha glucosidase inhibitors are available only in some Asian countries because we are the only people on the earth who consume the lot of carbohydrates. It is not a routine drug to be used. This has got an indication, the alpha glucosidase inhibitor, either the acarbose or the best one is the Voglibose, is the only one indication we use where the fasting blood glucose is normal and you have an abnormal postprandial excursions because of the carbohydrate intake. So that is the indication for this particular Voglibose. And the most advanced countries like US, the European Union and the Canada or the UK, you don't find this particular the alpha glucosidase inhibitors at all. Even in the Australia, whatever it may be, any place other than the some places in the Asia like our country, the Pakistan and the Bangladesh and the Sri Lanka, these are all the places where we find these alpha glucosidase inhibitors because all the Asians have the habit of taking the high carbohydrate content. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. And
Yeah, I request, one second, Amit. I request all the audience to post any question related to this particular, not only particular to this topic. Any question you feel like you have some difficulty in your practice, you feel free to ask me any question. Yeah, please. Next question, Amit.
yes, sir. And Ida gas
Yeah.
and Ida gas we start in type 1 diabetes, and what dose to be start in the type 1 diabetes?
Type 1 diabetes, actually we have to go by the body weight actually. Body weight, that is in the dose of 0.2 or 0.3 units per kilogram body weight in 24 hours, either in divided doses or in say single shot. Mostly type 1 they don't work out with this OD insulin degludec. It has to be given inevitably twice daily in type 1 DM, and the dose will be like 0.2 or 0.3 Max is 0.5 units per kilogram body weight divided in the 24 hours twice a day dosage. This is the dosage in type 1. And not to be used in cases of type 1 with DKA. It's an absolute contraindication for this, I am telling you. Type 1 with DKA is an absolute contraindication for the usage of insulin, Deglutec and Aspart. Next question, please.
Sir, there is no questions now, sir. One doctor clarifies the last doctor is asked that sports with milk, sir. It is not sports milk, sir. Sports with
That's
milk.
what I was confused. I don't find a word called sport milk.
With milk.
Acha, sports and milk. Okay.
Sir,
It is sports and milk, right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Is it Dr. Rangarajan? Sports and milk, right? Sports and milk is the question.
Garima, sir.
Dr. Garima Arian. Okay. See, sports and milk, whether it is in diabetes or without diabetes, that is the important thing, because even with diabetes one can take milk, and when they are participating in games and sports or athletes, whatever it may be, even the fastest, once upon a fastest bowler, Wasim Akram, was suffering from type 1 diabetes. He is still living. He used to take 5 shots of the basal bolus insulin, and he used to play cricket. So in that particular cases, the protein is very much required, and the calcium is very much required. Milk is a good source of both protein. It's a complete meal actually. But beyond 15 years, I don't think milk is very much mandatory. That taken in with the diabetes patients, in particularly with the context of diabetes, patients can take milk in moderation, but they want to participate in sports and games and all athletics. See, they should be counseled properly against this particular the incidence of hypoglycemia. So whenever the patients are put to strenuous exercise, like the training programs or in the original games and that and all, you have to counsel the patients with regards to the occurrence of hypoglycemia, because the muscle uptake, the glucose uptake by the muscle will be very more during this particular process of the games or sports or the athletics and all the so-called sports. So the patient tends to get into hypoglycemia. So they have to take the precautionary measures to prevent the hypoglycemia, that they should be given the sufficient snacks for this particular this particular type of activities. So milk is one way. You can add some protein powder with the milk. There are any number of wonderful the protein powders for either the diabetic patients or in the absence of diabetes also. You have all over the world, you have the Dumex company has got Proteinix, and Proteinix diabetes is there, and Abbott people have come with the Ensure. So many types they have. So for renal failure they have for hepatic failure, for the respiratory failure, and so many different conditions they have got different this thing. Even the pediatric population they have got Pediasure. So see, there are wonderful molecules, and the sports usually they tend to take this whey protein, which is very good actually. So if it's a quality whey protein, you can encourage whey protein along with this particular milk. The sports are very aggressive, and the very intensified ones, they can go for whey protein also. Whey protein usually is used by the people who go for bodybuilding, the muscle building actually. So I think that clarifies the question by Garima.
Yes, sir. Thanks for elaborate answer, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one more request is from the audience is, sir. Why can't you do webinar on obesity, sir?
Obesity, yeah, we'll certainly do, no problem. Any topics they want to they want me to talk on any topic, let them put it in the chat box so that you can just get it to my notice, Hamid. So obesity is a burning topic, definitely, and we can talk on any I can deliver on any topic. That's not a problem at all. Only thing is,
One more question is, sir,
they
in elderly,
yeah.
should we give sulfonylurea or DPP-4 inhibitors after metformin? What is your advice, sir?
Elderly means if the patient is above the age of 75, if the patient is above the age of 60 per se, if the patient is on sulfonylurea like glibenclamide, I would definitely stop that glibenclamide after 60 itself. The patient is on glipizide or the other types like gliclazide or the glimepiride, the patient crosses 70 or 75, I would never try with this particular sulfonylurea. Rather, I would go for the SGLT2 inhibitor or the combination of DPP4 inhibitor with SGLT2 inhibitor, keeping the senile dementia or the pre-senile dementia in view, and keeping the high incidence of hypoglycemias with this insulin secretagogue group. So I would definitely defer using this above the age of 75. If it is related to glibenclamide, the simple cutoff is 60 years. After 60, stop using this glibenclamide, switch over to either glimepiride or gliclazide, and after 70, 75, please never ever try with this particular these things. If at all you want to try, you can try with very low doses of glimepiride, like 0.5 milligram is there, and metformin is the best drug of choice for them. And second thing is DPP4 is the best drug, and third drug would be the SGLT2 inhibitor, which is, these are the safest drugs which will not produce hypoglycemia in the elderly. And metformin has got a very good role in majority of the diseases of that particular age, starting with dementia, pre-senile dementia, or this particular the Parkinson's disease. Metformin has got a beautiful role. So to start with, that would be the best option, and the second add-on would be the DPP4 inhibitor, and the third add-on would be an SGLT2 inhibitor. Certainly not the sulfonylurea above the age of 75. Where there is cognitive impairment, I don't want to experiment with my patients. That's what the message I would like to leave. Any other questions,
Sir,
please?
one more,
Yeah.
three questions are
Yeah,
there.
we welcome the
What
questions.
situation you advise?
Pardon?
In what situation you advise? Sir, in what situation you advise calcium supplement in diabetes?
What situation you advise calcium in diabetes?
Yes,
Right?
sir. And non-diabetic from what age?
Is it in diabetic or non-diabetic?
Both, sir. There are
Both.
some
Acha.
diabetes
See,
and non-diabetic
calcium.
from
When do you recommend calcium in patients suffering from diabetes or without diabetes? So usually the calcium hypocalcemia is manifested by this the classical signs, the obstetrician hand, that is the tetany is the one, the drowsy sign, you elicit that, and the patient is complaining of that particular this thing, the Chowstek sign, the obstetrician hand and the drowsy sign. It is a very clinically deficient hypocalcemia, wherein you can start, or else you have to measure not the calcium, the ionic calcium in the fasting state must be measured if at all you want to come to a conclusion whether the patient is suffering from hypocalcemia. The only method is this particular the calculating the ionic calcium in the early morning in the fasting state. If it is deficient, you just have to give calcium supplements, either the dietary supplements along with the calcium supplements. Not only one will do serve the purpose. You have to start with the dietary. You got lot of all the dairy products are very rich in calcium. You take milk, you take yogurt, you take curd, you take buttermilk, or any dairy product will have all this particular calcium. Even the egg has got calcium. You can take any plant based or even this anything. The calcium can be supplemented through diet as well as the supplements also. Even for diabetics or non-diabetics, the principle will remain same.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
There is some disturbance, it seems. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now it is okay, sir.
Yeah.
Can
Tell
I go
me.
ahead with the next question,
Yeah,
sir?
please.
Sir, a 45 years male coming with 400 mg per deciliter fasting glucose levels.
Uh-huh.
Now, how you initiate, sir, insulin?
So just by mere 445 of fasting plasma glucose is not sufficient to come to a conclusion. You should have this postprandial glucose as well, and with a preferably the A1C, and the urinary ketones or the blood ketones is very mandatory to decide which type of insulin I should go ahead with, because 45-year male maybe suffering from type 1 diabetes also. I've got patients who are suffering from type 1 diabetes aging around 89 92 years. There is one doctor who is a patient of mine who started the developing this particular, who developed the type 1 diabetes at the age of 19. That when he was doing his the second year or third year medicine, he got type 1 diabetes. Now he is 90-year-old and he is doing extremely good. A 45-year type 2 or type 1, it is not mentioned in the question. If it is associated with DKA, I would like to go for either the regular insulin or the short acting insulin. If the patient is not in DKA, the type 2 diabetes without DKA, certainly the A1C will be above 10, 12, 14. So the drug of choice is all the time the IDAC asp to start with the BID dosage. So I would love to avoid all the OADs in that particular situation where there is beta cell exhaustion. 445 of fasting plasma glucose clearly indicates the presence of beta cell exhaustion, and the pancreas needs some rest. So I would like to withdraw all the oral drugs. Some crosstalk is going on, some echo is coming. Okay, and I would love to stop all the OADs. I would love to put the patient either on the basal bolus or the biphasic premixed, or the best one is, if the patient is an affordable segment, I would rather go for twice a day insulin degludec and aspart. అవునా?
ఏమైనా స్లాట్ ఉందేమో సార్.
స్లాట్ అయిపోయింది.